The story of Lance Armstrong's relationship with the Tour de France is one of the most famous in all sport. He's the cancer survivor who, when condemned to death, then rose from his bed to win the world's toughest sporting event, not once, which would have been miracle enough, not twice like the great Fausto Coppi, not even 5 times, which would have placed him in the pantheon of legends alongside riders such as Merckx and Anquetil, but 7 times, which has given him a unique place in cycling history. Armstrong's history with the Tour predates his illness, but as with so much in this man's life, even those early days were filled with drama and tragedy. Perhaps the darkest day of Lance Armstrong's life prior to his diagnosis with cancer came on July the 18th, 1995, on the Col de Porte d'Aspet.
At 11:31, Radio Tour reported a crash on the descent of the Pyrenean mountain, the Col de Porte d'Aspet. It involved 6 riders. One of those riders, Dante Retze, plunged 30 feet into a ravine, yet he escaped with relative minor injuries. Fabio Casatelli was not so lucky. Severe facial injuries left him unconscious on the road. He was attended by the race doctors immediately, and then he was airlifted by helicopter to hospital. It was in the helicopter where he suffered a series of cardiac arrests, but on each occasion the doctors saved him. On arrival at Tarbes Hospital, doctors fought to save his life. At 3 o'clock, the race organisation announced the passing of the Olympic champion, who leaves a wife and a young baby.
2 days later, Armstrong made a personal statement and dedication to the memory of Fabio Casatelli.
We're on the climb here of the Côte de Villeneuve, and Armstrong is going clear. Now, we've just received a time check that the bunch is 5 minutes behind, containing Indurain. So Armstrong knows now that the race will be decided from this front group, and he's trying to force that decision even to a finer result. And Lance Armstrong now is not just winning for himself or the team, he's also winning for Fabio Casatelli.
However, there weren't as many stage victories in the Tour as his talent had promised there would be.
Now, can Lance Armstrong win for him his 2nd ever stage of a Tour de France? He came in such a big way in his first full season as a pro. Now he's going, Armstrong is now coming, Uchikov has a kick, and look at this, Sergei Uchikov has got, and I don't think Armstrong can get round him. He's making absolutely no impression. Lance Armstrong is going to be beaten, and Uchikov for the Ukraine gets the victory on this stage of the Tour de France, and that is absolutely amazing.
I was out there 200 Ks, and every 200 of them, every one of them, I thought for sure I was going to win. And to get second is, it's devastating.
But you're going to carry this Tour right through until the end, and there's still a couple more chances.
There is, yeah. I mean, it's a day like today was, you don't come across very often, to go into a break and get 15 or 17 minutes, and I mean, those days just don't happen. And I mean, I'm always looking, but it's going to be difficult.
Little did this defeated man know that the most extraordinary chapters in his life story were still to be written. In 1993, he was the world champion at the age of 21. Then, in 1996, his world collapsed as he was diagnosed with testicular cancer. The cancer was at a very advanced stage, with tumours the size of golf balls in his lungs. Doctors told him he had a 20 to 50% chance of living. In reality, they believed he had none. From one of the world's leading riders to a dying man, Armstrong's future was bleak.
Well, at first I was so surprised that I didn't believe it. I thought I was going to die. To live the nightmare that I lived, I've been to hell and back. I realize the importance of me winning the tour, or me trying to win the tour, what it does for everybody involved, for the cancer community, for the team, for my family, for my friends. It's fantastic. Hey, you got to be brave and you got to be strong, and anything is possible.
Just what was possible for this man we discovered during the prologue time trial in the 1999 tour.
The time checks, what a comeback this could be. There's only 2 men behind him now. Armstrong is the leader and will have to wait. 8:02.5, that is astonishing.
Well, that's an incredible start to the Tour de France, Phil. He's back at the camping car. Everybody's there to congratulate him. Frankie Andreu, his 8th Tour de France, the captain of the team, and Johan Brunel, the team manager. I don't think he could have believed that before the start of this tour.
I mean, right now I'm so surprised, but yet I'm so pleased and so happy for the team and for the staff and the other riders. Of course it's a big story, but I gave everything, and I feel good.
He would relinquish the yellow jersey almost immediately, but this newfound time trial specialist would win it back a week later.
Is there no end to this rider this year, because Armstrong just can do absolutely nothing wrong?
Well, the last time I saw him ride a time trial like this, Phil, was 1996, the Tour du Pont, which he absolutely dominated. He won that time trial stage there at over 32 miles an hour. But it has changed. His position on the machine has changed. He's got a very aerodynamic helmet. But the important thing is the speed at which he's pedaling. Look at that cadence. It's up around 100 RPM.
Well, since his cancer therapy and his chemotherapy, he has lost an awful lot of weight in his training and his comeback. Those that thought after his Paris-Nice race last year that he was going home for good were proved absolutely wrong.
And now he's coming up to the line, and look at that. He's almost a minute faster on the finish line as well.
Well, we are going to see a second stage win here and the second time trial win for Lance Armstrong, and it could well be a yellow jersey as well. Armstrong won 8:36, an incredible time, but the acceleration of Armstrong is absolutely frightening here. This is the sort of move that you would have seen Eddie Merckx do in his day, and not the sort of move we ever saw Miguel Indurain do.
Look at that.
Armstrong had quickly established himself as not only a devastating time trialist, but as an ace climber too.
1 kilometre. He's ripped across that gap, and he's riding a superb race.
This charge across the peaks towards Sestriere would enter Tour legend. It was a powerful display and a dagger into the heart of his challengers. It was indeed reminiscent of the great feats of the cannibal, Eddie Merckx, 30 years before.
Just ridden across like they were standing still.
He's won both time trials. He's now heading up to a likely victory here at Sestriere. If you can win the time trials and you win the mountains, well, there's not much left but to win the Tour de France.
Much of the time, anger drove him on. When he needed to, he reminded himself of how his contract with Cofidis had been renegotiated as he lay recuperating from his chemotherapy.
Lance Armstrong looks to the sky, no doubt in memory of his friend Casatelli.
A lot of people expected the climbs to go out for you today. You actually turned the tables around and gave them a big slap in the face.
Well, I wanted to answer some questions about that, because there was a lot of people that